The pumps never stop. That's the first thing nobody tells you. 3 in the morning, empty highway, one gas station glowing like a lighthouse, and somebody is standing behind that counter. Not because business is booming, because the lights have to stay on. Literally. The freezers, the fuel pumps, the security cameras, the soda machines humming in the dark. A gas station is one of the only businesses in America that's not allowed to sleep. And here's the part that should bother you. That station, the one open all night, every night, burning electricity, paying a human being to stand there, it's probably losing money on the thing it's most famous for, the gas. Let that sit for a second. The gas station makes almost nothing selling gas. You'd think, given the name, given the giant illuminated price signs towering over every intersection in the country, that fuel is the business. It's not. Fuel is the bait. And what happens once you walk through that door? That's the actual business. This is a story about a trap disguised as a convenience. And like most good traps, it's been getting tighter for decades while almost nobody noticed. Right now, in 2026, there are roughly 150,000 gas stations across the United States. That number has been shrinking, slowly, for years, even as the number of cars on the road keeps climbing. That's strange. Demand for driving hasn't collapsed, but the stations keep disappearing. Somewhere in that contradiction is the entire story of what it actually costs to run one of these places, and why so many people who buy into the dream end up broke, exhausted, or both. So let's start with the fantasy, because everyone has one. You picture the sign. Your name isn't on it, but somehow it feels like it will be. Cars roll through all day, every day, and each one hands you cash for something they absolutely need and cannot live without. No one negotiates the price of gasoline. No one asks for a discount. It feels, on paper, like the closest thing to a money printer a regular person could actually own. Recession-proof, habit-proof. As long as cars exist, people will need fuel, and you'll be standing there to sell it to them. That's the pitch. Now here's the math that quietly demolishes it. A gallon of gas on a given week might sell for around $3.30. Break that number apart and something surprising happens. Somewhere around 50 to 60% of that price is the crude oil itself, a global commodity the station owner has zero control over, set by traders in Chicago and New York and Singapore who have never heard of this particular intersection. Another chunk, often 15 to 18%, goes straight to federal and state taxes, money the station collects and instantly hands to the government, never touching their own pocket. Refining and distribution eat another slice. What's left for the station owner after all of that? Somewhere between 10 and 25 cents per gallon, not per sale, per single gallon. Now do the arithmetic on a normal fill-up. Someone pulls in, pumps 12 gallons. At 20 cents of margin per gallon, that's $2.40 of gross profit for the entire transaction, before subtracting a single other cost, before electricity, before insurance, before the employee who just spent 90 seconds ringing it up. And it gets worse before it gets better, because of a detail almost nobody thinks about: the credit card. Roughly 9 out of 10 fuel purchases in America happen on a card, not cash. And every time that card gets swiped, the bank and the card network take a cut, usually somewhere around 2 to 3% of the total transaction. That sounds small, until you realize it's taken as a percentage of the entire sale, not the tiny margin. So on a $40 fill-up, the station might be paying close to $1 just in processing fees, nearly half of whatever profit they made on the fuel itself. Gone, before the customer has even pulled out of the lot. Here's the sentence that should really land. On plenty of transactions, especially when gas prices spike, the card fee costs the station more than the fuel itself earned them. They are, quite literally, losing money to sell you gasoline. And they do it anyway, every day. Because the alternative, turning the pumps off, means losing the only thing that actually, reliably, draws a car into the parking lot in the first place. So if the pumps are a loss leader, where's the real business? Walk through the door. That's where it is. The convenience store attached to almost every modern gas station isn't an afterthought. It is, quietly, the entire financial engine of the operation. Industry data has shown for years that the vast majority of a station's actual profit, sometimes as much as 70 or 80% of it, comes from what's sold inside that little store, not from what's pumped outside it. And the reason is brutally simple: markup. A bottle of water that costs the store owner maybe 25 cents might sell for $2. A candy bar bought in bulk for under 50 cents sells for $2, sometimes more. Coffee, one of the highest margin items in the entire building, can cost pennies to brew and sell for $3 or $4 a cup. Cigarettes, despite brutal taxation, still generate meaningful margin because of volume and repeat purchases. And fountain drinks, the classic gas station soda, might be the single most profitable item per ounce sold anywhere in retail. Syrup, water, and carbon dioxide, marked up to the point of near absurdity. This is the part that should reframe everything you thought you knew about that building. The gas out front isn't the product, it's the advertisement. It's the thing that gets a car to slow down, pull in, and put a human being within 20 feet of a wall of overpriced snacks for the 90 seconds it takes the tank to fill. The pumps aren't the business, they're the billboard. A rolling, blinking, price-lit billboard that costs the owner money to operate, because it's the only billboard guaranteed to physically deliver a customer to your door. Which raises an uncomfortable question. If the entire economic model depends on getting people to walk inside, what happens as fewer people need to? This is where the story stops being nostalgic and starts getting genuinely tense, because two enormous shifts are colliding with this business model at exactly the same time, and neither of them is slowing down. The first is the slow creep of electric vehicles. An EV owner, for the most part, never needs a gas station. They plug in at home overnight and wake up full. No pump, no counter, no impulse buy candy bar, no coffee grabbed out of habit while the tank fills. Every EV on the road is a customer who has quietly opted out of the entire model. Not just the fuel purchase, the walk-in traffic that fuel purchase used to generate. It's not that EV drivers are boycotting gas stations. They've simply become invisible to a business built entirely around foot traffic. The second shift, less talked about but arguably more disruptive, is the death of the impulse stop itself. Payment technology has made it possible to pay at the pump, tap your card, get your gas, and drive away without ever making eye contact with another human being or setting foot inside the store. Convenience, ironically, is killing the convenience store. Every frictionless improvement to the fueling experience is quietly starving the exact revenue stream that made the fueling experience worth offering in the first place. Picture the owner standing in the middle of that. Fuel margins, razor thin and shrinking under card fees. In-store margins, healthy but fewer people are walking in to spend them. And the entire underlying reason anyone visits at all, the internal combustion engine, is being slowly, deliberately phased out. One country, one state, one manufacturer at a time. Now let's talk about what it actually costs just to open the door in the first place. Because this is where the fantasy really falls apart for anyone who thought this looked like an easy business to get into. Buying an existing gas station with a convenience store attached in a decent location can run anywhere from several $100,000 into the millions, depending on the market and whether real estate is included. Building one from scratch is worse. The underground storage tanks alone, the massive steel or fiberglass containers that hold the fuel, can cost hundreds of thousands of dollars to install. And that's before you account for the environmental testing, permitting, and insurance required, because you are, legally speaking, operating a small hazardous materials facility disguised as a corner store. And that liability doesn't go away once the tanks are in the ground. It follows the property forever. A leaking tank, even a slow, invisible one, can contaminate groundwater, trigger state environmental cleanup mandates, and saddle an owner with a bill that can run into the hundreds of thousands of dollars. There are owners who've spent decades building a business only to have it wiped out overnight by a tank they didn't even know was failing, buried under their own parking lot. This is not a business risk. This is closer to owning a small piece of industrial infrastructure that happens to sell beef jerky. Then there's the brand. Walk past any station and you'll see a familiar logo glowing above the pumps, a name owned by a major oil company, even though the person actually running the place almost never works for that oil company at all. Most of these stations are run by independent operators, franchisees who pay for the right to fly that brand's flag. That deal comes with strings, minimum purchase requirements for fuel, brand standards for how the building looks, sometimes contractual obligations about hours of operation, which is part of why that station stays open at 3 in the morning, even when nobody's buying anything. The franchise agreement says it has to, so the owner is squeezed from almost every direction at once. Thin fuel margins, card processing fees that eat what little margin exists, environmental liability buried in the ground, franchise obligations dictating how the business runs, and a customer base that's slowly learning it doesn't need to walk through the door at all. And yet, here's the twist that makes this whole story stranger than it first appears. Gas stations, as a category, are not dying. Not even close. In fact, some of the most sophisticated retail operators in the country have been quietly buying them up, expanding aggressively, treating gas as almost an afterthought while building enormous, highly profitable food and retail operations around it. Chains that started as regional truck stops have transformed into some of the most efficient convenience retailers on the planet, using fuel purely as the hook to draw people toward their real product. Fresh food, branded coffee, loyalty apps that track your habits and nudge you back in. The stations that are disappearing tend to be the small, independent, single-owner operations, the ones without the capital to build a real food program, without the scale to negotiate better fuel contracts, without the technology to compete on convenience. Meanwhile, the stations that are thriving have essentially stopped thinking of themselves as gas stations at all. They think of themselves as restaurants and grocery stores that happen to have pumps out front. The fuel becomes a rounding error in a business plan built around everything else, which means the real economics of owning a gas station were never really about gas station economics at all. They're retail economics wearing a disguise. The pumps are the hook. The convenience store is the wallet. And whoever figures that out first and builds accordingly survives. Whoever clings to the old idea that selling fuel is the business eventually gets squeezed out by the same math that's been quietly working against them the whole time. There's something almost poetic about it if you step back far enough. For 100 years, the gas station has been sold as the ultimate symbol of the American road. Freedom, independence, the open highway. Fill up and go. But underneath that image was always something closer to a magic trick. The thing you thought you were paying for wasn't the thing making anyone money. The real transaction was happening in the 90 seconds after you walked inside, past the fountain drinks, past the lottery tickets, past the coffee that cost $4.30 to brew for pennies. And now that trick is starting to fail. Not because people stopped needing fuel, but because the walk inside is disappearing. Tap to pay. Charge at home. Skip the store entirely. The bait is losing its ability to lure anyone anywhere. So think about what's actually being built, quietly, at every intersection in the country. It's not really a fuel network. It's the last physical funnel forcing millions of people, every single day, into a small room full of overpriced things they didn't plan on buying. Take away the reason for the funnel. Replace the combustion engine. Remove the need to stop. And you're not just changing how cars are powered. You're dismantling one of the most successful impulse purchase machines ever built into American infrastructure. One pump at a time. which leaves an odd question hanging over every glowing sign you'll drive past tonight. If the thing keeping that store alive was never really the gas, if it was always the walk inside, what happens to the 150,000 of these buildings once nobody needs a reason to stop anymore?